On this reading corner, we analyze 3 biases that every leadership team should watch out for. This article is in Inc. magazine. It's from Bruce Eckfeldt. Hopefully I said that one right. He's a coach, and these are 3 strategies that he's focused on with his team. And he coaches a lot of executives when they're having meetings and discussions. Tip number 1 here by Bruce. This one is rampant in most leadership teams. Usually it comes from the form of the CEO or another powerful executive dominating the conversation and leading with strong opinions that everyone else needs to then argue for or against it. This reminds me of Nelson Mandela and a quote I've heard from other leaders that talk about how Nelson Mandela would start a meeting where he would ask other people's opinions before giving his own opinion. Because if he asked his own opinion right at the beginning, then everybody has to make that decision. Are they for or against? And the team are probably thinking, what's the point of me having any idea? Because the leader has already made their decision. So let's not have anchoring in there. The solution is clear. Have a clear process of articulating the topic, gathering data and success before launching into solutions and decisions. Tip number 2, correlation equals causation. It's easy to assume that just because one thing relates to another, there is a causal relationship. My favorite example is a study that appeared in Nature in 1999, which showed that parents who leave the lights on in their infants' bedrooms at night caused myopia. 1 year later, they published a new study that showed that the lights have no impact, but rather there was a strong correlation between nearsighted parents having nearsighted children. The lights were just a function that nearsighted parents left them on so they could see better. Leadership teams fall into this same trap. Just because one thing goes up at the same time as another doesn't mean that one causes the other. Making that assumption and failing to find the true cause can lead teams down bad paths. So let's make sure we avoid. If you're going to look at the data, make sure it's accurate and you're not looking at one-sided information, you're looking at both. Tip number 3 here, polarization. As humans, we love drama. It's what makes for compelling movies and page-turner books. But on leadership teams, it's typically a liability. Unfortunately, it can be human nature to take one event or one case and to assign a disproportionate meaning or weight to it in order to make a point or advance a personal agenda. Key takeaways here, and this is incredibly powerful. How many meetings and conversations have you been in with people where you say this in a sentence to them? You always do this, or you never do this. These are the key words here that Bruce is talking about. We don't want to use that language. This technique is usually employed to emphasize a point or strengthen an argument, but instead they are just setting things up for an argument. Instead, they encourage you to look at realistic data instead of guessing it, instead of being definitive. If you know that 82% of the deals close within a month, don't say, we always close. Instead, and if you know someone was late to the daily hurdle 3 times last week, don't say you were never on time, be specific here. So those are the 3 steps that leadership teams often fall into, and they can back off specifically in meetings. Let's use the data, let's not use causation and a correlation, and let's make sure we're using the right language that isn't always and never.